I didn't want to do this track. We're at Vietnam for the Vietnamese Grand Prix, round 3 of the season at Hanoi Street Circuit. This track is the most vile, gangrene-inducing, sadistic work of Satan to ever curse this earth with its existence. I didn't want to do this. You didn't want to watch this. But I had to. So Wallace Racing is going to Vietnam, unfortunately. Try to enjoy, I guess. I certainly didn't, but you know, I'm gonna try and keep this as lighthearted as possible. I hate this track. But heading into practice 1 then for the track acclimatization program, I would have rather taken a PBR around here than this car in the wet. But miraculously, we somehow managed to, after bumping the wall there, get 605 points. Which is just on the target score for a purple lap, which is really promising in the wet. And also in fuel management, I managed to skip tire management because I just could not do it. And also in ERS management, we managed to get purple, which is, again, really promising for the pace. As you can see, I barely made this on the lap time. Just about making it there. But then for qualifying pace, as always, qualifying P22, apparently, even though we've been in Q2 every single time so far. I'm not hopeful for Q2 this time around though, because I suck at this track. Race strategy, 3/10 up that lap, actually using the mediums this time as opposed to the softs last time. 9/10 up this lap, which is really good. Really promising pace. And then third lap, about 4/10 up, and as you can see, Sebastian Vettel getting up close behind us here. Trying to keep him behind, as I managed to do for a couple of laps. Must have not been on push laps or something. But we do purple race strategy as well, but I won't bore you with the details. The rest of practice is just lapping me and Louis Delatraz trying to get our goal. So we're on to qualifying. First lap, medium lap in Q1, trying to just set a banker, trying to learn the circuit in this quali pace. As I say, I don't think we're going to get out of Q1 in this track. Simply because I just despise it. And when you despise a track, it's really hard to be good at it. But skipping on to the final sector on the soft lap, so this is the second lap of Q1 because I want to get straight into the race and not spending too much time on practice and qualifying. Trying to get the best final sector possible, and I'm just not. I'm just going out wide everywhere. And one thing I have learned about this sector 3 is that if you get it perfect, it's a dream. But if you don't get it perfect, it's the worst sector I've ever been on in any track, in any game, ever. But rounding the final corner, is this going to be enough for Q2? Is P15, which, yes it is. We're in Q2 at Vietnam, which is something I really wasn't expecting for this track. As we look down the order, we are in P15. Once again, Louis Delatraz 1.5 seconds off our pace at my worst. Q2. So into Q2 then, this is our first lap on the soft compound tyre because I haven't got any more mediums to use. But that was a really promising show in Q1, so hopefully we can advance on that time in this session. Just trying to get the best exit around this roundabout. It gets easier to do the more you race around it. It's just another sweeping corner that can actually work out quite well for you. The next corner is where I have the most problems. I keep on touching the wall there. And then you've got this second roundabout which comes up quite fast, which is a bit unnecessary really, but Leclerc has come up behind us and we're just going to let him past here. I'm not letting off or anything. And we actually do touch in there a little bit, trying to get in the slipstream for the end of this back straight, trying to get a little toe off the back of him for our banker lap. Braking a little bit early there and hitting the curb on the inside. I do that quite a lot in this, so you might see that more than once. But just going into sector 3 now and coming into the final bit of the lap. Hooking the car on the inside of that curb, which really rotates us around, and I didn't expect it to do that. I thought we were just going to spin or something. But round the final corner, what's it going to be is we tap the wall. We're in last right now, 6/10 off Pierre Gasly, which is kind of where I expected to be. But as we come around for our second lap in Q2. We're going to ride on board for most of this lap. We are in P16 right now. Hopefully we can make some advances on that position. We're a little bit up going into the first corner, and we gain a 10th on the exit there, 2 tenths, which is really good for our pace. Go out a little bit wide on the what's that called, the runoff area there. So the sponsors are 3 tenths up into the first DRS zone, which is looking pretty good in the first part of the lap. Apologies if my voice sounds a little bit worn, I've just woken up. But yeah, 3.5 tenths up going into the second roundabout. You can gain a ton of time on the AI here because you can cut the little sausage curves on the inside, which they don't do. But technically is within track limits, so you can do that and gain a heap of time in them. I think at least a couple of 3 tenths or something. But we are half a second up now as we go into the second DRS zone with this incredibly long straight. I've no idea why they needed it to be this long. They could have just ended it there, while that corner him there. But into the hairpin, 7 tenths up near enough here. Getting a little bit of oversteer on the exit, so dropping back down to about 5. But it's still a very promising lap. Coming into the final sector, the stream is starting to lag a little bit here, but we've got to show it. Into the penultimate corner for the... it might be the last time in Q2, might make it into Q3. It's a really promising lap. 9 tenths up as we don't even tap the wall and cross the line. It's P13, which is our best qualifying position yet. I think we've qualified P15 in both Grand Prix so far, but yeah, and really, and the ironic thing is we managed to beat Lewis Hamilton on the mediums, so he was trying to qualify in mediums and he just didn't have the pace. Ooh, that's really good.
The Formula One circus has arrived in Southeast Asia once more, as we usher in a new era and get ready to go racing here in Vietnam. A lap of Hanoi circuit then, 3.4 miles around the Vietnamese capital. A number of the 23 corners take their inspiration from other great circuits, hopefully creating plenty of passing opportunities. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
There are 3 main things to worry about there, Crofty. Positioning, awareness and discipline. First, you have to put your car in a bit of space and make sure you have room to react to what the others are doing. Then you have to watch your mirrors and listen to the sounds around you to get a sense of where everyone is. And finally, just don't get too greedy. Just because a gap exists doesn't always mean you should go for it.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and starting alongside in P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Verstappen, Alexander Albon, and Ricciardo, Ocon, Sainz, Kvyat, and Lance Stroll, Norris, Gasly, Rose, and Hamilton, Raikkonen, Grosjean, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Kevin Magnussen, Perez, Russell, Delatraz, and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Alright then, here we are on the grid for the Vietnamese Grand Prix at Hanoi. The one I was looking forward to the least. I was certain that this race was going to be worse than the Vietnam War. We're going to try and do the 2-stop strategy, the selected strategy that the game has already put for me. Putting a little bit more fuel than normal just because the enormous straight at the end, probably about 20% longer than it needs to be, which can be said for the circuit as a whole, really. So soft, medium, I think that's the best strategy. Let's go ahead and start it. Here we are then, 1 light, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the Vietnamese Grand Prix at Hanoi. Lights down, away we go, and we get a pretty poor start, but we get a really good drive on Lando Norris ahead, and Pierre Gasly alongside. Might even be able to send it up the outside of these midfield cars here, which we do, and we are up in to P10. from our qualifying position of P13, which is a really good start for us. We're actually up into a points-paying position on the first lap, but we can't get complacent. We need to hold position and maybe even make a move on Danny Kvyat ahead, trying to get the best launch out of here. If we almost spin on the curb there, not a very good launch, kicking it up into 3-3 because that's what I've noticed the AI do on the first lap, so I don't want to lose out to them. Coming into the second roundabout, braking a little bit early because I don't want to go in the back of the guys ahead, but as you can see, you can just gain so much time in the second roundabout, which is what we're taking to the full advantage here. I'm turning right to go left a little bit there, and oh no, we almost spun on the exit. We've lost 3 positions, almost 4 to Pierre Gasly here, and I'm desperate to hold on to my quali position, so we're kicking it up into max ERS and fuel, trying to get through on the inside, which is it's a nice move actually, it turns out to be. But we've just lost all the positions that we gained in the first corner, which is heartbreaking. But, you know, can I blame that on cold tyres or just sheer incompetence on out the exit of the turn 2 at the second roundabout? Because I was doing that a lot in practice and qualifying. But coming to the end of the first lap, we are still within Lando Norris' DRS zone, although it doesn't really matter in the first 2 laps, as you know. And Pierre Gasly is actually overtaking Lewis Hamilton behind, which surprised me a little bit at the time. They're going on to the back straight in lap 2. Pierre Gasly's coming back at us with... Well, no, he hasn't got DRS. He's just got the superior engine, I suppose, because we're in 3-3. Just kicking it down here a little bit because I think we can outbrake him. And up ahead, there's a 4-way battle from Danny Kvyat all the way down to Lando Norris there. And we do outbrake Pierre Gasly, squeezing him out a little bit there. And he's actually managed to keep Lewis Hamilton behind on the mediums. Not sure for how long that'll last, though, because it is, of course, only lap 2. So we're sticking with Kimi Räikkönen. Pierre Gasly is also very close behind. And as we move on to the third lap now, he has got DRS again. I got spooked by him a little bit, so I block him a bit there. Sorry about that. I hope I didn't cause him any damage, which doesn't look like I have. But we try and outbrake him on the outside of this corner here, which again is a very good opportunity to overtake or to just outbrake or just have a good race. And we make a pretty good exit, probably the best exit we've done so far at that corner in this race. Usually I just find that I don't have any grip compared to the AI, although I do have more on the entry. We do have DRS on Kimi Räikkönen, even though we are losing time to him since he has DRS on Kvyat ahead of him. And Gasly isn't really close enough to go for a move. We slammed the door on him there, again blocking him. It's like I'm out for his blood, but I swear I'm not. I am up for Kimi Räikkönen's teammate's blood, which, Giovinazzi has overtaken Hamilton now, which Lewis Hamilton is just dropping down the order. I wonder if he's got like an engine problem or something. I'm not sure if Jeff told me or not. So coming into the third sector, we're taking it quite nicely, just missing the apex on that curb a little bit. But following through, I think I can gain a fair bit of time on the AI through Sector 3 if I get it right, but we're having to save fuel in ERS because we have actually run out before the end of the lap, which is, I mean, it's to be expected because you use a lot of it on the back straight, which is why I'm saving it really, so I can use it there. So going on to lap 4 now, around the second hairpin. And Kimi gets all out of shape on the exit, so we're going to try and go for moving the RS around the outside. I'm a little bit cautious doing that, though. Here's the action replay of him just getting all out of shape on the exit. And up ahead, there are yellow flags, and that's caused by Carlos Sainz's McLaren having engine issues, which will promote us into P12, and maybe even P11, if we get past the Iceman up ahead. Even with all my fuel in ERS and DRS on, I barely am faster than him up ahead. We're going to try and send a move up the inside, and we managed to make it stick, although he is still on our outside here, so we have to defend from him going into probably my favourite corner on the circuit for overtaking and just racing in general. He's almost at, well, no, he is at the inside, but we managed to defend him off there, having to back out on the inside. And the game just now registers Carlos Sainz as being out of the session, so now we've got virtual safety car, no opportunities to pit or anything, so I guess it's just the best thing to do, just wait this one out. And we rejoined back at the second hairpin once again on lap 5, and we are within half a tenth of the delta when we end. I'm usually more cautious than that because I don't want to pick up a penalty, which you can do very easily, but Kimi's got a much better exit than I have out of that hairpin. Roundabout, that's not a word I'm used to saying on the racetrack, but he is through up into P11 once again, and now Antonio Giovinazzi is back at us into, I'm not sure what to call this corner, good corner on bad track. But we managed to fend him off there, and as you can see in the bottom right, we have yellow engine damage which on a track like this, it's awful. We need to really preserve the engine in this race as we bomb it in the pits for our first pit stop, just making the pit lane there. Obviously 37 miles an hour because it's 180 degree into the pit lane. Hopefully the team can be a good stop like they did in the last 2 races. I think it was 2.2 in Australia, and I forget what it was last week in Bahrain. A few other cars have pitted with me as well, like second drivers and that. We'll see what we're going to get. If we pull up, it's another 2.2 second stop, which is really good from the team. Very good from a debut team as well. It's not what I would have expected at the beginning of the season. So Nicholas Latifi now, just joining him out in traffic, second Williams here. Got DRS on him, and Antonio Giovinazzi there coming out the pit lane behind our new mortal enemy. So now coming into the second hairpin. Going to the second hairpin, we're going up the inside, which is a very nice, easy move to make on the AI. But again, I'm just getting all out of shape on the exit like Kimi did a couple of laps ago. And he's got the run on us and a bit overtaken by Williams. And that's never a good sign. So we're going to try and dive around the outside. And that's another good opportunity for overtaking maneuvers. On this corner that I'm just coming up to, and that one, this section is very good for overtaking. That's just my one top tip for this track, if I had to have any for this one. So skipping on to lap 11 now, we're joining Lewis Hamilton as well as George Russell out here. And we're going to stick our nose in where it doesn't belong. And we're going to get in a really good 3-car scrap here between a Mercedes, a Williams, and a Wallace. You wouldn't, I mean, you love to see it, but you wouldn't expect to see it. We're barely out-dragging George Russell with DRS, which just goes to show how much this engine damage is hindering us here. And now Sergio Perez with that Mercedes-powered car is behind us, and Antonio Giovinazzi right behind him. But he gets an amazing run on us on the exit there, and is going for the move already. We're not even halfway through this sector, and we're already being overtaken by the pink Racing Point there. Going into the hairpin now, with Antonio Giovinazzi slotting in right behind us. We're going to try and make another move around the outside, just avoiding the curb there, and making it a very nice move actually on Sergio Perez. I'm quite proud of that one. But anyway, now on to lap 15, about halfway through the Grand Prix. Oh, just barely squeezing through on the outside there on Giovinazzi. And we get all stuck on his right front tyre as well. And I just checked to see if we have any weight damage, but we don't, thankfully. But we're going to send it back on Sergio, but almost got the back of Antonio there, which wasn't my intention, but we almost managed up making that a double move. Well, I think that will have resulted in a crash if I did. And now the engine damage is critical. We're on orange engine damage, which is really bad, especially at Hanoi. So on to lap 17 now, just making this final sector. I mean, again, fun sector. I have a love-hate relationship with it. You can get it really perfect, and it feels like a dream as we bomb it in the pits for our second and final pit stop in this race. And also Kevin Magnussen comes in with us once again, like he did last time around. Hopefully the team can give us another good stop like they did last time. The team have been very consistent with their stops, is one thing I will say about Wallace. We are very good, we have very good mechanics. So let's see what they're going to give us. It's a 2 flat, which is even, I think that's the best pit stop they've ever given me. But we're going to rejoin the action on lap 19 here with Romain Grosjean in the first roundabout. Going to try and get past the Haas driver, who is now our rival. So it is crucial that we beat him in this race to maintain our rivalry lead that we got from qualifying. I think we're on 2 points to 1 now. Maybe we can elevate that by a few points here, as Antonio Giovinazzi and as well as Checo Perez are out behind us, trying to catch up to his now. So it's crucial that we get past Romain Grosjean on the hard compound tyre. So he must be going on a 1 stop from mediums to hards here. We make a little bit of contact on the exit there, but that is kind of to be expected if you're taking that line, because the AI like to take a wider line and then swoop in to get the best exit, which is probably why I don't get a very good exit. But it looks to be okay. We can save some ERS here because they're too far behind to go for a move on this hairpin, but you never know with Antonio. So breaking into here and just trying to get the best line. And look what I've just said. He's just bombed it up the inside of us. I don't think that was ever going to be a 2-car move. It's an already ambitious dive on Rogro, but he just sends it up the inside. His nose sticks at him where it doesn't belong. And now he's going to come back at us on lap 20. We're going to have to save fuel in the first part of this straight, but then kicking it up into full pace for the final bit. We might have to do what he did to us last lap and go for a very ambitious move on the inside, but it doesn't quite make it stick. Just bumping over the sausage curb there doesn't quite benefit us in any way. But going on to the next lap here, trying to get the best exit once again out the second roundabout. It is quite hard to do that, I say, especially on worn tyres. But again, 3.3 plus DRS, is it going to be enough with 4 tenths behind? You can see we're barely gaining on him and sometimes losing time with this much fuel and power on board. But we're going to go for another dive up the inside and he leaves us the room, so we miraculously get through without any damage, and I'm very proud of this move. Thank you to him for leaving the room, I suppose, but yeah, I'm quite proud of that one. So on to lap 24, only 5 laps to go in this Grand Prix now, and he's coming back at us, Pinky and Perky back again for some more action, and now Checo is coming up our inside again. There's nothing we can do because we've almost got red engine damage on the bottom right, so we're gonna have to, and Antonio locks up. I'm having flashbacks to Bahrain now, seeing as what happened last time when that happened to us, so I'm desperate not to be in that situation again, and we're trying to get another good exit out of this roundabout hairpin. I don't know what this is meant to be. It's an corner. On lap 25, again was 6-7 tenths down on Checo, 8 tenths now, even with DRS, we're still going to be losing time. It's now a second that they've pulled on us. So we're going to have to hope for a miracle here. Going into the hairpin, they are making a move on each other. Perez trying to get around the outside of Antonio Giovinazzi, taking tips from my top tip earlier on in the video. Thank you so much for watching a video that isn't even out yet while driving, Checo. That just shows absolute dedication to the Tickles YouTube channel. Hopefully the subtitles didn't say tickles there. But he does manage to get past Giovinazzi once again into Sector 3. We bump the wall there again, which is a consistent theme in this race. I keep bumping that wall in particular, but luckily I haven't got any wing damage from it. The wall is very sturdy front wings, as you may know. And the engine damage, oh god, look at that. As we almost go up the back of Antonio, it's critical damage now. It's just, we need to change parts for the next Grand Prix. And as you might have seen earlier on in the video, I did check the gearbox and that's also underwear, but luckily we haven't lost a gear yet. So now we're going on to lap 26, the final parts of this Grand Prix, hooking it nicely up on the inside curb there. At least that's the best way I know how to get around this corner. I'm not an expert at this track by any means, shape or form. Trying to get the best exit on Antonio here. He's gaining time on the exit as to be expected, but we might have enough pace to make a move on the back straight here, like he did to us a couple of laps ago. And you can see just how much time you can gain with two wheels still on the tarmac there. You can gain a good 3 or 4 tenths on the AI because they are very strict. They stick to the track limits no matter what, but you can cut the sausage curbs there on the inside, which is my tip what to do. Now he has pulled a gap of 7 tenths on us just because of our engine damage, as well as other things going to that. So we only have a couple more laps to make this move. I think Sergio Perez is a little bit too far gone to make a move, but we're going to skip on to the final lap of the Grand Prix as Sebastian Vettel's won the race. We're almost alongside the Alpha, going into my favourite corner. Can we make a move? We're going to send it up the inside and he's locked up. This is a brilliant opportunity and we scrape alongside him, using him as a brake, kicking up into Rich 3-1, and he has to back out there. And now we're in a situation where we have to save fuel on the final few corners, and we have actually got wing damage on the final lap, but I think we're gonna go into low fuel mode on the line, so hopefully we can keep it ahead of him, get a final sector that's really good. But no, we have to go out really wide there. He's within a couple tenths of us as we come up to the line. We're in low fuel mode, but we make it. P14.
Here we are then, a fantastic Vietnam Grand Prix, and what a performance it was from our race winners today. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
I'd say it was down once again to good consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today and the results speak for themselves.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari. So, let's review the drivers' standings. More points for Valtteri Bottas, further solidifying his lead at the top of the table. Now, let's discuss, Ant, who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
Well, for me, it's got to be Lewis Hamilton. The multiple world champion may be the boring choice at this point, but you can't argue that he's a driver deserving of his reputation.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari continued to extend the gap at the top of the table. There was also a strong showing from the McLaren team today as they make their way up the standings. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
So that was an exciting race from our perspective. Let's have yours. You're breaking all expectations. What's your secret?
I'm not breaking all expectations, it's just that Louis is terrible, so it's making me look better.
Do you have any comments about the collisions?
This track sucks!
Great. Well, that's everything.
That is everything, and we have maintained a position on our rivalry of Romain Grosjean. One thing I will say, I don't ever want to go back to this circuit. I am literally having Vietnam flashbacks. I don't want to go back to there. This was worse than the Vietnamese war. I don't want to go back here. Don't make me go back here. It's the worst track on the calendar. It's like a vicious, malignant tumour that has manifested itself in this pristine calendar of Formula 1. Who in their right minds thought, yes, oh yes, I'm going to go to this circuit. It would make a perfect addition to an amazing calendar, just having a 3,000 mile long straight stuck in the middle and 24,000 corners to navigate.